Hi, everybody. DJ Sixsmith here for CBS Local Sports. The Bird, Iron Eagles hanging out. How are you, sir?
All right, DJ, ready to go, man.
Yeah, it's that time of year. 22 years of doing the tournament. I mean, it must be pretty crazy for you to kind of put everything in perspective.
It is. It feels like a blur in many ways. My first assignment was 1998. I had no idea what I was in for. They told me that I was going to Sacramento and to prepare for 8 teams. It was Maryland, it was Arizona, it was Utah State, it was Illinois State, it was Nichols State. So I have a recollection of what the assignment was, but it felt overwhelming. But you get through it, and then you do it another year, and then you look up and it's 22 years. Hard to believe.
Yeah, it's wild. So people who do play-by-play realize how much prep goes into it, but doing multiple games in one day, keeping that voice going, what are some of the keys to making sure you power through all those games?
Yeah, well, so there's the mental part, obviously compartmentalizing your brain with the 8 teams, making sure that you've got the right information on the right player in the right moment. And then the physical part, which maybe is a little underrated, making sure your voice holds up. So a lot of hot liquids throughout the day. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I'll find a different way. Tea, there's a product called Throat Coat that I use that will keep the throat moist. And Ricolas, whatever it takes. Like truly, you've got to power through the 4 games, and it's a long, exhausting afternoon. What I find is the day off afterwards, your body just says, yeah, I've had enough, and then you got to ramp it up for the second round.
So you've done the NBA playoffs, you've done the NFL playoffs. When you think about March Madness, what makes this distinct from everything else?
Well, I think what always struck me is the participants involved. For many of them, this is their career highlight. This is the highest level of basketball that they're going to play. This is the game they're going to play for their grandkids many, many years down the road. So from a play-by-play perspective, you just want to make sure you do right by them and you are prepared and you tell the stories in the right manner. That's the pressure I feel, is to make sure you cover it correctly and the narratives are handled in the right manner. Look, the pageantry of the tournament, the idea that a Cinderella could emerge and a team that you had no familiarity with all of a sudden becomes a media darling and the focus of the sports world. That's a nice little sidebar part of this story. But ultimately, you just have to do your job, convey the emotion of the event to the viewer at home.
So you've done the balancing act for a long time, but the Nets are going to be a playoff team this year, so it's a little bit of a different situation. So let's talk Nets for a quick sec here. I mean, it must be a little surprising for you to see how good they've become. You know, what's been the coolest part of the season?
So 22 years doing the NCAA tournament, 25 years working on Nets broadcasts, and this has been by far the most surprising season. The 01-02 year when Jason Kidd came over, they vaulted to the top. They were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but you knew it was happening early. Kidd just changed the whole trajectory of the franchise. This one's come out of left field a bit. I thought they would be better this year. Didn't know they would be as competitive. There's a fight. There's a chemistry. There's a cohesiveness that you can't predict on paper before the season starts. So when human beings come together in this manner, it just shows you that that's what sports is supposed to be all about. This one was a little bit out of left field, and it's been a joy to cover.
Well, Ian, enjoy the next couple months. Thanks so much.
All right, DJ, great seeing you, bud.